Title extra long. Skillman. Christmas. Trust me, it'll live up to the bill. So
Have you rehearsed this?
Okay. How many stanzas this time?
I'll let you know when we're done. Let's just say last year, 140.
Damn, the thing is massive.
Have you rehearsed
More
this?
than that this year?
What? I'll let you know when
Timmy's
we're
like,
done.
I'm getting comfortable.
You know my
Hey,
goal.
you should put
is
that back
try
on your
to
I know.
be at or above.
Ten up it?
Okay.
So here we go. Extra long Skillman Christmas poem. Good luck, sit tight.
Alright.
Buckle in.
What a night it's been with food, family, and gifts, and company that is second to none. But as we all know by now, the fun's just beginning because we're not even close to being done. When it gets to that time where the presents wind down, we all know what's coming next. The anticipation builds all across the room for it's my time for a poetic flex. It's never short, it's only gotten longer, but as long as it keeps you engaged, you'll come right along not thinking about the time, so get ready, I won't be upstaged. Every Christmas since 2013, I've done something similar to this. They've all been epic, some portions legendary, but rarely does any of it miss. Once I found a target or two with specific details to boot, you know it's on like Donkey Kong, because I'm going to make it a hoot. Doesn't matter what topic it is, nothing's ever off limits. I'll hit on those things no one wants to say, even if the reaction is a grimace. I don't shy away, whether COVID or vaccines, family rifts, or even someone's death. It's all fair game, oh that's for sure. I'll make you laugh until my last breath. But some of it's serious, it has to be. But I don't want to walk on eggshells. I've proven by now I can handle any subject. You've all seen my excellent credentials. What many of you don't know is that to you it's Christmas, but to me I'm writing this early in November. I must be in the mood and do my research looking back at past years to remember. It takes a lot of sitting and thinking, putting my thoughts down on paper. It's a labor of love to do this each year and make sure it's always a bit greater. Last year I wrote 140 stanzas. We'll see if I make it there this year. I just tell myself to keep on writing because damn it, I'm the Skillman Shakespeare. If he can write 38 dramatic works, there's no reason I can't do this too because I'm just as talented and I have the proof. You all know that's true. I'm not quite sure what this year will bring, but I'm excited like you to find out. All I know now is it'll likely be epic. Was there ever really a doubt? I didn't think so. Always bet on me. The odds are stacked strongly in my favor. I've got my sights set on 141. You can bet I'm not going to waver. So adjust your butts and get yourselves comfortable. We're all going to be here a bit. I'm coming for that record like I do every year. I hope you're all cool with it. Grab a pillow, lean on back, snuggle up close to a friend. Just be thankful you are one of the few who are invited and able to attend. For those that couldn't make it back home for the holiday, just know I still have you in mind. Some years you're here and some years you're not, but I'm not leaving you behind. I'm planning things out 6 weeks in advance, getting all my names written down, always making sure that no one's forgotten, everyone always gets a shout. You've had family far away that's serving their country. It's not a good reason to forget them. They're always guaranteed a place in this poem. I just pray they're not getting into any mayhem. Who wants to work in the front lines anyway? Pick a desk job or work in the basement. Anything else but out where the war is, where the bullets fly, that's not your placement. I gotta say, I'm glad Hunter's out, so he can never be sent to Ukraine, or Russia, or Israel, or North Korea. I'd rather him working on a brain. The surgical theater is like an office job. It keeps him out of harm's way. And that's the key, keeping him safe, working on a patient or looking at an x-ray. As for Cody, I'm not sure what he's doing. He could put himself in danger, or he might not. All I know is we should send a group of us there to get him and Amanda out of my knot. Yeah. Seriously, nothing's there. They've told us all that. What's the attraction in that place? It's the middle of nowhere with nothing around except for a damn Air Force base. Minot came around in 1886 after the Great Northern Railway laid track. A tent town sprang up overnight just like magic, but I'm not sure why a traveler would go back. The winters are typically bitterly cold with high winds and temps below freezing. The average days below zero is 39. I'm sorry, but that doesn't sound pleasing. I don't know why Cody would want to stay there. Maybe he doesn't have a choice. That's why we need to go there and save him, because the military's not giving him a voice. And Amanda's going along for the ride, but she'd rather be just about anywhere. If it weren't for Cody and his manly mustache, she'd get the hell up out of there. Speaking of his mustache, what the hell's going on? Why does he have it so long? It looks like a 70s porn star gone wrong without the muscles or foot-long dong. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know? Maybe he's packing more than I think. Certainly it's possible, but very improbable. Trust me on this one. Wink, wink. But seriously, that mustache, what's with this craze? First it was Tom for some years. Now Cody's been infected with this old school look. I swear they've both had too many beers. Actually, that's not it. Alcohol's not the problem, but something else that affects the brain. It's the Kimmy effect on those she's around. Cody's smoking the Mary Jane. The wacky tobacco, the devil's lettuce, White Widow, and Pineapple Express. He's smoking jazz cabbage at the 420 saloon, all that stinkweed relieving his stress. Whether you call it hot stick, grass, or dope, funky falafel, giggle, smoke, or pot, none of that matters because you still ain't convincing me that a mustache is all that hot. Unless Amanda's smoking it, that might make more sense. She's loose enough to not really care. She's high as a kite, a little paranoid and euphoric, so what's a little upper lip hair? Weed has a way of making you not care, plus increasing your appetite and thirst. It delays your reactions, causes problems with memory, and other things even worse. So if the only real effect for Cody and Amanda is their desire for a flavor saver, then I don't need to gift them a way to take care of it. I'll throw out this 5-blade shaver. The more I look into it, mustaches have cool names, like Sniff Sifter, Nose Wig, and Lip Lace. Snout Sprouts, Lip Leech, the Walrus, Fuzzy Warhol, the Lip Bandit, Sir Stashalach, and Fuzzface. The Crumb Catcher King and the Soup Stainer Sultan, Dr. Whiskers, Mouth Brown, Lip Loom, Monzor Mustachio, and Fuzzy McFace Pants, the Hairy Godfather and Giggle Groom. The Bristle Aristocrat and Cherry Cheek Chum, Lord Upper Lip and Duke of Fuzzington, Baron von Fuzzwick and the Grand Bristolier, Whisker Kitten and the Duke of Bristleton. There are so many names for a fine-looking mustache. It's weird to think there would be. Sniff Sifter and Mouth Muff, Lip Tickler and Snot Mop, Lip Ledge and Whiskers McGee. All right, that's it. No more mustache names, but what if Cody grew a goatee? There's a ton more options for bearded nicknames, like the Gandalf, the Lincoln, or the Rusty. But enough names for now for a mustache or weed. It's probably time to move on. Not sure to what, but I'll figure it out because this poem's going to be a marathon. That's what I keep saying, not knowing if it'll be. I'm pushing forward nonetheless. Got to keep going and writing more fluff. This poem always has me so stressed. But I think it just hit me what could give this a kick and lead me in a certain direction. There's this big thing that took place only 50 days ago. It was our presidential election. Let's recap the events of how the year went. We'll start it right at the jump. Biden was planning to run his campaign and go up against Donald Trump. There were whispers around he wasn't fit for duty and he couldn't last another term. He was showing signs of aging and bewilderment. He quickly became old and infirm. He stumbled a lot and was lost for words. His sentences would deteriorate into mumbling. We all could see right before our eyes this was a man who was famously crumbling. He'd slur his words or tail off altogether, sometimes change the subject on the fly. His train of thought could be lost in an instant. He could kiss his electability goodbye. He'd be giving a speech then, look off in the distance, clueless and full of amazement, not knowing why or how he got there. It was time to find his replacement. He didn't look far to find just the person. Kamala Harris stepped in right quick. The past 3+ years, she's been the vice president-elect, but just who is this chick? You've probably heard she has a law degree and worked as deputy district attorney. She's the first black Asian American woman to become the presidential nominee. But whether black or white, Asian or Latino, it didn't really matter to most. We've all felt the pain of rising costs. We want the economy's problems diagnosed. Am I saying that Trump will be the fixer of all and all our problems will soon disappear? Most likely not, but I'm hoping for improvement. Let's see how he does this next year. The night of November 5th was truly historic. The nation let its voice heard really loud. Despite all the rhetoric, fear-mongering, and such, conservatives stood tall and proud. They pulled the lever at the ballot box, making their choice for a change. Not just the president, but the House and Senate too. A few seats got rearranged. Some of you here might be Democrats and believe to vote blue no matter who, but that's a hard stance when the economy is this bad. We can't do 4 more with nothing new. So stand on your morals and personal convictions. Don't let one side force your vote. Whether red or blue or somewhere in between, we're all riding together in this boat. River is choppy and we need to find our way. Different positions and policies choose the path. I'm not sure why the journey for elected officials always turns into a ridiculous bloodbath. Both sides know once the elections are over that they'll need bipartisan support, whether passing bills or changing laws or naming someone to the Supreme Court. I swear our government officials are stupid, but they don't all start out that way. They have pure intentions when they start down this path, but corruption and greed win the day. Big business and corporations don't just dip in, they own the damn cookie jar. They more than donate, they own the candidates, they force them to change their North Star. Why do you think politicians run for office? It's usually not for money or fame. It's to learn the inner workings of a broken system, then change the rules of a slanted game. To even things out for marginalized groups, impact communities, and political idealism. But because corruption is running rampant, power bought with money leads to elitism. It's the advocacy or existence of an elite person or group as a dominating element in society. The rules are in favor of the rich getting richer. There's so much mass impropriety. The top 1% keep increasing their billions, holding 23.3% of our nation's wealth. It's a serious problem that never gets addressed. It's a sign of declining economic health. The bottom 50% own just 1% of wealth. Just let that marinate for a minute. Don't you think the distribution needs to change? Maybe we start with the wealthy, having a limit. Take Elon Musk, worth $300 billion. If you stripped him of 99%, he'd be left with $3 billion. I think he'd be fine. He can still live luxurious and content. If someone lived for 85 years with $3 billion in the bank, they could spend $50,000 a day and still have $1.5 billion in the tank. That's right, I said $50,000 a day for 31,025 days. With almost $1.5 billion left when they die, generational wealth is guaranteed always. Look at this different, investing $3 billion with an average 6% return. Over a year, the interest that builds is $180 million earned. Now take that interest over one full year. You can spend almost $500,000 a day, never touching the principal, remaining a billionaire, and next year doing the same things the same way. Wealth inequality isn't the only problem. There's many that are affecting our nation. Gun violence, violent crime, and climate change, racism, and illegal immigration. Drug addiction, unemployment, and domestic terrorism, the quality of public school education, a federal budget deficit, affordable health care, cybersecurity, infrastructure, and inflation. And what about the state of our moral values? Americans have a very negative view. 54% say our values are poor, 83% think they're getting worse too. These numbers are based on a Gallup poll that was taken and published just last year. Just when you think it couldn't get worse, America says, sit tight, hold my beer. The role of religion in Americans' lives has been declining since 1965, and American pride is seeing the same thing occur the past 20 years and seeing a nosedive. The sad thing is I don't see an end, at least not for quite a while. The best thing to do is control what you can, go about your day, be kind, and smile. It's hard to change the world all at once. It looks like a mountain you can't climb, but as the saying goes, you can't eat an elephant, but you can take one bite at a time. So I do my part and keep God in my family, exhibit morals and values to be proud of. I set an example for my kids to look up to and tell them every day that they're loved. So what are some values all people should learn? How about honesty, respect, and responsibility? Cooperation, fairness, loyalty, and compassion, patience, kindness, and civility. Courage, self-control, and perseverance. Cleanliness, integrity, and caring. Cooperation, gratitude, and faithfulness. Open-mindedness, don't be jealous, and sharing. I certainly could go on, but that's not enough for now. What if everyone could take these to heart? Don't be discouraged, you can be the solution. Our family is a great place to start. Then we begin to affect our friends and colleagues by modeling such a positive behavior. And as for me, I don't need to take credit. I just point them to my Lord and Savior. He gave us the outline of how we should act. It's all written down in this book. I encourage you all, if you're on the fence, to just give the Bible a look. The Bible shows us that hearing leads to belief, but true faith makes us take action. We should live as servants, always doing what's right. It's in this that Christianity gains traction. Now, some of you here might not be believers, or your faith is hanging by a thread. You look all around and see the world in shambles. It's easier to believe nothing instead. You're waiting for proof you can touch, feel, or see. You think science is even on your side. You don't believe it's possible to live a perfect life and be resurrected after you die. You're right on that front. It's not possible for us. Once I die, I'm not coming back. But I'm not omnipotent like God in the flesh. That man definitely made a comeback. Witnesses saw him, first-hand accounts, claiming this until their last breath. Why would you do that if you knew it was a lie, staying firm even through a brutal death? I certainly could go on, but I'll table that for now. I can see people are ready for some laughter. Enough politics and religion. It's time to move on. No more Trump talk or that place hereafter. That really limits me, though. I wasn't done with Trump. I had a few more things to say. But I'll respect your wishes and leave it at that. Get back to presents and Santa in his sleigh. Speaking of presents, how about this year? I think everyone did pretty well. And looking around, still no Dan and Rachel. They can pretty much go straight to hell. Oh, okay, that's a bit strong. I don't really mean it. I wouldn't do Satan like that. Making him live with both of them forever. Even Satan knows she's a bitch and he's an asshat. Well, maybe not all the time. I'm sure they can be nice. just not to any of the Skillman adults. They hurled enough words and hatred speech. I don't feel bad throwing poetic insults. Kind of brings me joy, gets me into the mood to just write and write and write. My mind is stumped when I'm writing this poem. I just think of Dan and on goes the light. Seriously, it's amazing. I kind of perked up, got some energy as Dan hit my mind. 4 years later, I still think he's a dickhead, and I verbalize it up here to unwind. Started this poem so many years back, all because of a request from Dan. And now as I read it, he's not even here. His own dumbass got himself banned. It got me to thinking, what if we all made up? Obviously some years down the road. Would I have to read him every verse I wrote? Because I've definitely used this poem to unload. We'd likely start fighting all over again. He'd get real pissed and probably quite bitter. We'd end up right back where we are right now. Relationships would go back in the shitter. It's probably best I just say things were rosy and pretend like I didn't give him any mind. Never even writing a word about him. I stayed classy and quiet and kind. Granted, I don't think there's a chance he would buy it. He'd have to know better than that. He was around for enough of these poems to know if it's juicy, it's getting included in this chat. So I'd probably have to just come fully clean and read him all the things that I wrote. Then before he could catch me and beat me down, I'd trip him and punch him in his throat. That's why I said we'll be right back to fighting. I think that is pretty damn clear. We should just keep our distance and not make up. I'll be fine for at least another year. Plus, without us fighting, I'll lose some material. And I'd have to forgive and forget. Let bygones be bygones, shove crap under the rug, and I'm not ready to do that just yet. For now, I'm fine with the chasm between us. You're staying on my current shit list. You and your wife will remain at the top as targets in my Christmas poem hit list. Now, some might be thinking I should take it easy. Dial it back just a little bit. There's nieces and nephews amongst us here who don't need to be hearing all of it. You're probably right, though it doesn't really matter. It's a little too late for that now. I'd rather be funny and see your reactions when you shake your head and go, wow. Maybe he shouldn't have said what he said or acted the way he did, then attempted to reconcile with different mediators like the disingenuous Richard Kidd. Yeah. Who is he to reach out like he did, not attempting to listen to the other side? He had a preconceived opinion about who was wrong because Dan told him a story and lied. So while I'm at it, I'll give Dan the man first. I'll gift Dan the man first. It certainly won't be something he wants. I'm not buying him shoes or a paintball gun or fancy French croissants. I'm taking him on a little bitty drive to visit Niagara Falls. Then I'm making him stand on the edge of the railing while I kick him squarely in the balls. He'll teeter on the edge, trying to get his balance while he's keeled over violence and cries. I'll stand there staring like I'm Ivan Drago, saying to others, if he does, he does. I'm sure he'll be fine if he falls in the river. I know he knows how to swim. It's the 170-foot drop and the rocks at the bottom that make the outcome seem grim. But I'm crossing my fingers he'll survive the fall, like the 16 who've made it before. Unfortunately, they were all on the Canadian side, so we'll see what God has in store. If he dies, he'll turn out like Stefano Demera of Days of Our Lives soap opera fame. He'll become the phoenix that always rises, so I can chastise him next year all the same. But where will Rachel be when all of this happens? Will she go up to New York for the ride? Could I really stand both of them in the car? Probably not, so I'll tie her to the outside. It's going to be cold in the middle of winter. It's nearly a 3-hour trip. She's going to be freezing at the top of the roof. When we get there, she'll be an angry ice chip. But I'll have compassion, let her warm by the fire, so she's alive and awake and aware. For when I kick her husband square in the nuts, I want her watching the whole affair. At this point, she'll be pissed seeing Dan swept away and probably will blame it on me. But I just kicked him. He lost his balance. I'd claim he was just a bit clumsy. If she felt too alone, I could probably arrange it where she took a dip in the drink. I'd say, look over there at the pretty bird. Then give her a little push and a blink. I don't think she'd like it or ask for it to be done, so I'll probably respect her wishes. But in the back of my mind, it sounded pretty good to see her swimming with the fishes. She's probably real pissed. Hates me more than she did. I'm sure she's let out a scream. I mean, not as many as her husband did when he was swept downstream. But still, there were shrieks, and annoying they were. I had to put an end to all that. I looked all around till I found something sturdy and I slapped her across the face with a hard hat. Let's just say she quieted up real good. She knew I wasn't messing around. The first time I ever saw a woman shut up when I told her to just calm down. By now it was time to start my drive home, almost 200 miles to go. I threw her in the trunk for some peace and quiet. It was just me, the road, and the snow. During the trip I found the perfect gift. It would fit her like a bug in a rug. It was a baseball bat all wrapped in barbed wire to be used as a 2-foot butt plug. I know what you're thinking. That's pretty nasty. Did she really deserve all that? That's what you get for being a bitch to my mom. Just wait till I pull out the bat.
Yeah, we all just said Negan.
Just helping you out. Moving along to address something last year, Dakota brought Jess over last Christmas, which was all fine and dandy. She was certainly welcome. Then the poem got down to business. I went over Dakota and Shauna's relationship, how they got engaged and soon after broke up. I heard later that night that Jess didn't look happy. I guess she could have spoke up. Not that it would have changed anything. It definitely wouldn't. The script was already written. And no matter how sensitive the subject may be, there's nothing that's really forbidden. I know when I was told she looked pretty pissed off, it was either at me or Dakota. But I assumed it was him because I was just spitting facts. He might need to move to Minnesota. Clearly he didn't. He's still here a year later, but maybe she wasn't as angry as people thought. Then again, she did ask me a fairly odd question. How many loops in a hangman's knot? I brushed it off like she was probably joking, even though she had a rope in her hand. Now, come to think of it, she did look kind of serious. It's possible she's had this all planned. She waited a year for another Christmas with all the family gathered around like we do, just to hijack the night and kidnap Dakota and hang him for the public to view. Luckily for him, he's got a little extra weight. Then the rope snapped and he was all right. Her year-long commitment to planning his murder showed stick-to-itiveness tonight. Strangely enough, he found this attractive, and he's embarrassed and turning a little reddish. He's always fantasized about a girl with a dark side. He has a kidnapper-murdering fetish. She has the qualities of all of his nightmares. She's fanatically sinister and shady. I'm gifting for him a promise ring for her, his wickedly sweet 100-pound lady. The problem might be that a gesture like this turns her into a genuinely nice person. And that's not what he wants. He likes a little evil. He wishes her wickedness would worsen. Going to bed with one eye open, wondering if she's plotting his death. Giving her a kiss, rolling over to go to sleep. Always anxious if he's taking his last breath. Jess, I know if you're sitting in this room, a little miffed at how you've been portrayed. You're probably planning my kidnapping now. Tomorrow I'll be found burnt and filleted. That's why I'm sending you on a one-way trip. I thought about a mountainous highland. Then I found a place between Antarctica and South Africa. It's a place called Bouvet Island. It's the most remote island in the entire world. A big old uninhabitable ice cube. There's no Wi-Fi signal for surfing the web, watching TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube. It's surrounded by glaciers and covered in ice. Its past includes an alleged nuclear incident, plus an abandoned boat with never found passengers. This will put you in quite the predicament. Hoping you'll put aside that murdering plot pretty soon after your arrival. I want your mind focused fully and completely, improving your chances of survival. It's not that I want you to die on that island. Just stop thinking of killing me for a bit. I'll leave you there until those feelings have subsided. If they don't, then good luck making it. Let me go back to Cody and Amanda. They couldn't make the trip this year. They're both at home having a 20-something's Christmas, opening presents, then having a beer. Red Solo, cups in hand, blasting country music, dancing to Chicken Fried, and stripping to their skivvies with a beanie hat on, diving down the slip and slide. This is what happens when family's not around. Young adults get weird and wild. Holidays lose all their natural traditions. Events are an alcoholic's brainchild. While most eat dinner, open presents, and laugh, eating cookies, drinking hot tea or Kahlua. They're young and newlyweds, so after drinking and gifts, Amanda's giving him the old hawk tuba. Clearly some people know the reference.
Oh my God.
For those up to date on viral elements, this isn't as innocent as it may seem. You might have laughed a little harder than some. It became this year's internet meme. But I hope they have fun whatever they're doing, and I pray Cody likes what I got. It might not be much, but if you like seafood, then you'll appreciate this lobster pot.
Dad.
I'm assuming they both do. It's definitely not my thing. If you like it, then you don't want to skimp. There are so many dishes like oysters and bisque, clam chowder, salmon, and shrimp. So for Amanda, I'm sticking with this theme. I think that she'll like this a bit. I went to Amazon and found the best deal on a blue ribbon DIY sushi kit. You know who else likes sushi a lot? My boy Hunter's a pretty big fan. I've seen him post lots of pictures on Facebook. He's become such a Cali man. He posts his food all over his story. This dude's gotten into his meal prep. He's either become a pretty good cook or he's buying stuff delivered to his doorstep. But with all his money and he's raking it in, he should probably donate some to UNICEF. But those children in crisis can look somewhere else because Hunter needs his personal chef. The man looks this good because he's working out and keeping those extra pounds at bay. And when he comes home, there's a perfect meal prepared by Chef Bobby Flay. You might not believe me. I'm telling you the truth. Hunter's out there living the high life. He's single and mingling. His pockets are jingling. This man ain't ready for a housewife. He uses his money and status with women. Tells him he's nearly a doctor. They come over his door and they close at the floor and proceeds to give him the shocker. Told you earlier. So we all agree this dude needs nothing. What can I give? He can't buy. But it's not about that. He still gets a gift, so I'm sending him on a trip to Dubai. He can drive ATVs in the Dubai Red Dunes or ride a camel on a desert safari. Take a hot air balloon flight or a private yacht charter. No matter what, he won't be sorry. That was good. Whew, those are rough references in here, huh? I'll switch it up for a bit and hit some of the youngins. I'll start with cute little Lizzie. Sitting still and just listening this long is difficult. She's used to being busy. That's what kids do. They run around, they cause commotion, and sometimes get loud. But all that ceases when the poem gets started because only quietness or laughing is allowed. And I'm halfway through. She's probably quite antsy. It's already been 20 minutes. We all understand that she's done so good, but this girl also has her limits. So because I'm expecting her to go run off and play, and she won't even care how I feel, I wanted to give her this amusement park favorite, her very own Ferris wheel. What little kid wouldn't want to ride that? She'll be the talk of the town in her street. And a little advice from old Uncle Steve, she should charge by the ride for each seat. You can picture it now. Lizzie the entrepreneur, a businesswoman beyond her age. Just wait till she expands to roller coasters and she's making a 6-figure wage. I'm as sure as the sunrise, Alex is going to be jealous. You know, with her over there making bank. He probably thinks he's more deserving, but it's time I'm a little bit frank. Lizzie has cuteness and a smile that won't quit. If it wasn't for this, she'd still go far. Whereas Alex has the face of a radio DJ. Welcome everyone to WJNR. Yeah. Now that doesn't mean Alex can't be successful or make a lot of money someday. But the odds are saying he'll more likely be asking, you want a napkin with your fries on Sunday? That's why I've taken the time to think ahead, to find a college that could nurture your smarts. I'm sending you off to the University of Connecticut to get a bachelor's degree in puppet arts. There's so many courses that would shock you all, like paper sculpture, shadow theater, and rod puppetry. Puppet theater production and marionette performance, it's why this is the best in the country. World puppet theater and puppet arts aesthetics, production planning and development. I'm telling you all, Alex is going to love it. He'll be right in his element. As usually happens when someone gets something fun, other people around want it too. That's what's happening with Lily now. She loves puppetry also. Who knew? She loved that degree and the doors it could open, setting her up for a career. Some people aspire to be an astronaut, but Lily wants to be a puppeteer.
Yeah, Lily.
Puppetry is a diverse and versatile art, offering a wide range of career opportunities. What Lily knows is she wants a resurgence of puppet shows in varying communities. She can be a puppetry consultant or a puppetry historian, a choreographer or a puppetry technician, a puppetry educator, a puppet designer and builder, and there sure as hell won't be any competition. My mind's made up. She can do puppetry too. Maybe Alex will end up as her boss. If she can't handle that, then that's on her. I think that would be awesome sauce. So I'm setting Lily up for a job in the industry, even though other career paths may appear brighter. She can ensure that the dialogue and characters are engaging. Here's a job as a puppet script writer. Alyssa, don't worry, you're not into puppetry, so I'm not pushing down that career path. You'd rather watch an episode of Devilman Crybaby called The Sabbath Massacre Bloodbath. I added the word bloodbath, but the rest is true. I needed something to rhyme up above. And finding a list of the bloodiest anime scenes just seemed to fit like a glove. My Hero Academia is more of your choice. More of the population has superpowers called quirks. Most of the population has superpowers called quirks. Some quirk-enhanced people earn the title of heroes. Then there's villains who are basically jerks. Izuku is a boy who dreams of becoming a hero despite lacking a quirk at birth. But All Might chooses him to inherit his quirk one for all. He'll be a successor and realize his worth. Getting this right, aren't I, though, huh? I could keep going on talking more of the story, but everyone in this room is kind of lost. Except Alyssa, my dear, who's following right along, even though this comes at a cost. When the poem gets specific and some people tune out, that's my sign to reel it in. But I did this for you so you could feel my effort. Oh, and I bought you a mandolin. Whenever I'm thinking of mandolins, I picture someone relaxed, trying to unwind. And no one fits that description better than Reese, who first comes to mind. He always seems chill when he's around. Last year I surmised he's a pothead. He has that look like nothing really matters, although it's possible he's just an airhead. But it's more likely pot. Just look at that boy. He has a glazed over look and he's skinny. Plus there's something about him that's hard to explain. He just has that aura of Kimmy. You know what I mean? They're both space cowboys, and neither one is an amateur. They've been around long enough. They're both high flyers, although Kimmy is a cannabiseur. Now, I know Reese is probably going to act like he's clean, especially with the history of Alana. But I'm telling you, I know he's probably high right now. He gets the good stuff from Tijuana. So I found just a gift you'll really appreciate. It's in a jar and comes with a handle. Just put it in your room and smell up the joint. It's an, oh shit, can you still smell the weed candle? Kimmy, I think since we're talking about weed again, I should stick with you pot-smoking fiends. I know you'll smoke no matter what I tell you, as long as you can live within your means. There's a link between pot and psychiatric disorders like schizophrenia, depression, and anxiety. But what's a little sadness, discomfort, and distress or personalities provide a little variety? So I wanted to think what Kimmy would like, so I asked the internet for some ideas.
Oh no.
And I gave it the information I thought was necessary. I told it what a pot smoker she is. Here's a top-selling weed gift to enhance smoke session vibes. Set up a table and 2 chairs in a nook. It'll blend a little mysticism to your relaxing euphoria. Here's a pot tarot cards and guidebook.
Yes.
Alana, don't worry, you haven't been forgotten. I wouldn't do Reese and not you. You have been around a bit longer than him. You're definitely on my list to do. I'm focusing this year on your vast tattoos, up and down your arms and hands. They seem pretty random with no rhyme or reason. It would have been nice to develop some plans. I wish I could have told you what you want isn't worth it. That's the main method of dissuasion. But now it's too late. You're covered in tattoos, so I scheduled you for dermabrasion. I know it's not the gift you were hoping for. You probably think your tattoos are cool. But as you grow up and look at your arms every day, you might think, was I a fool? Now listen, I think you did a good job. You might have just gone a little overboard. Couple here and there could be kind of cute, but this many just has me a bit floored. But to each their own, what does my opinion matter? You do you, boo, as they say. Could be worse. You could have full sleeves and back tats. Look like some random named Jay. Oh, hey, Jay. Wasn't referencing you. It might seem like that at first glance, but I promise you I wasn't doing that. Your name was just used by happenstance. I love your arm sleeves. I think they look great. It's something I've always wanted. I once had a session with a tattoo artist. I sat in his chair, undaunted. I looked past my fear of needles and a gun. It was more about the pain I'd endured. But I sat there confident in what I was doing. Embracing my dark side was the allure. Just when he was about to start the tattoo, the power went out in the shop. After waiting an hour with no electricity, getting a tattoo that day was a flop. I left that day with nothing to show for it, but it gave me some time to think. could I still be as much of a man as I am without that Betty Boop tramp stamp ink? I decided that night it just didn't make sense. My dreams of a tattoo was put on a shelf. No Betty Boop just above my butt. I have too much respect for myself. But back to Jay. I know you like tats. I'm thinking that's what I'll get you. But it can't be the same old tried and true, a cross or some tribal tattoo. It has to be something to pack a punch, something different that everyone will notice. I thought for a second to do you real bad, get you a picture of Donald Trump or POTUS. No worries, my friend, that's not what I did. I went back to my thinking board. But trust me, I know what I settled upon cannot be easily ignored. So on New Year's Day, I have you scheduled, because I know getting more tats is a habit. It's going to be massive all upon your chest. It's a picture. Jessica Rabbit. Who should be next amongst our group? There's so many left to choose. How about Colton's girlfriend, Emily? It's time that she pays her dues. When I sat back and thought what I'd write about, I don't really have any idea. I don't know her that well. I really don't. She might like a flag of South Korea. But probably not. I just don't see it. I mean, who really wants just a flag? So I sat around and thought of many random things. Maybe she'd want a beanbag? That's not it. That's not it either. I can see it in her eyes. Her sweet girl look is just a front. So I went to Kimmy's stash to grab some hash and rolled up a 2-foot blunt. Colton, she can share it if you're interested, but I'd ask nicely if I were you. Some people get possessive. She looks like the type. She might kick your ass from here to Timbuktu. As for this year, we really need to talk. Something's been on my mind, and I can't shake it or really ignore it. No one could unless they're blind. Son, let's talk about this whole hair look. You're looking too much like Joe Dirt. That's not a compliment. Trust me on that. You're looking like a guy named Bert. And who wants that name? Hey there, Bert. Just sounds a little silly. You're turning more and more to your mama's roots, looking like a Madison hillbilly. I wish a better life for the hair on your head. It deserves a better shape than this. It's been put through the ringer. Let's not let this look linger. This has all been a big mess. This mullet's gotta go. I'm making a move. I'm through with being appalled. I'm getting my clippers and tying you down. Your gift is I'm shaving you bald. Got through that. Now we know Olivia can't be here. She's over at her dad's on Christmas. It was nice she could come and be with us yesterday, but I know tonight she'll miss us. She still deserves to get one of my gifts, but what is it she wants me to get her? I have just the thing that is timely right now. It's a god-awful, ugly Christmas sweater.
Yay, we love them.
Right. AJ has been waiting so patiently this year. It's not how this always goes down. Sometimes he eats and hangs for a bit, then by present time, that boy ain't around. Skirts out the door saying it's time to go home. I'm always like, what you talking about? You're a grown man now. Act like an adult. It's time you stick this thing out. Quit leaving us all for your other family. I demand more commitment than that. If I see you get up and even shade towards the door, I'm breaking your legs with a bat. Because of the disrespect I felt each year, I've got an embarrassing gift to unwrap. I'll expect you to wear it to our next family cookout. It's a used designer jockstrap. Sally doesn't always come to our Christmas party, but I've kept including her each year. She's had some funny gifts, so it's comic relief. I'm fretting what to get her, oh dear. I have just a thing that I know will be handy, so that's what I went out and bought her. It's 100% organic, lightweight, and magical. It's a can of dehydrated water. Think through that. Uncle Ralph is another one who doesn't usually come. He's usually at his kid's house tonight. But I figure what's one more to throw in the mix, and I'll make sure I get him just right. He points and shuffles when he's with his ladies on the dance floor. He goes out like 4 times a week. So I called in a favor from the man up above. I got him a stud muffin muscle-clad physique. Jill from our church was going to be alone, so I'm glad she came over to hang out. I would never want someone all alone on a holiday, and we always have enough food, no doubt. Wasn't really sure when I started to write this, whether she'd actually stay around till the end. I knew if she did, she would look at me differently. This poem can definitely offend. She's always sweet and nice to everyone, albeit sometimes in a pretty loud voice. I wanted to be nice since she's a first-time guest, so I bought her a shiny Rolls Royce.
Oh,
It's a 2024 Rolls-Royce Phantom with a V12 engine under hood. A pillowy, soft ride floats you gracefully on the road. I'd buy myself one if I could. Madison, how are you doing over there? You've been comfortable and looking all snug. But I think it's time that we have a little chat about the way that you give me a hug. Whenever we meet, you give me a look. I think you know the one I mean. It's a little sinister with a smirking hesitation. Then you give me a sideways lean. I'm hugging your shoulder as it's aimed at my chest. You give some fake soft embrace. But it always feels like you're ready to bolt, so you always leave quite a bit of space. A two-armed hug that you fully commit to would be nice to feel just one time. But since I don't think that I'll ever get that, I'm sending you away to Anaheim. This brings me to Tom, who's probably bored to death. Been out of work for 75 days. The shoulder surgery was obviously needed, but you can only nap in so many ways. Day after day, he wakes up to do nothing. Then tomorrow, he'll do more of the same. He's got to make sure that he looks like he's busy. That in itself is a game. If Pam were to come home and he's just lying there with dishes piled up in the sink, you can damn sure bet Pam would let him have it, slapped him 26 ways in a blink. Before he knew it, he'd be black and blue and wouldn't even know what he did. Woken up from his nap with a rat-a-tat-tat. Don't be lazy around Pam, God forbid. He's sick of convalescing. He's waiting for the blessing of his doctors to say he can go to work. He knows he can't take much more time being lazy because Pam's always going to go berserk. I've got just the thing that you could really use. I know you don't want to retaliate and harm her, but you need to defend yourself from further injuries. I bought you a medieval suit of armor. Pam, I know this hasn't been nice to you. I've painted a picture unbecoming, but I'll be darned if I'm not going to stand up and defend Tom for a couple months of bumming. If what I've revealed about how you've treated him has you mad and angry at me, just keep in mind how I probably got my info. No names, but he goes by your hubby. Tom, I know you're probably wondering why I said that. It seems like I threw you under the bus. But listen here, man, I thought you knew this. Nothing's private that we ever discuss. This poem has a way of enlightening the crowd, keeping us all informed. I'm just a vessel that the words flow through in the voice when the poem is performed. Pam, I still need to figure out your present. Something perfect for a person like you. It can't be a sweater or some soft, comfy pants or more shoes for you to accrue. It needs to be special, or at least pretty good, or not any worse than mediocre. I'm sorry to do this in front of the family. Here's a ball gag, handcuffs, and a neck choker.
What, Kimmy?
Time to move on to mom and dad. Focus on mommy dearest first. It seemed like so much of this calendar year that somebody must have had you cursed. One surgery down right at the beginning. Going into it, there was so much hope. Recovery was anything but as expected. Did it really improve anything? Nope. It was finally determined that you needed another to correct the problems, including infection. Yes. Despite it being another surgery so soon, your condition left you little objection. Prayers went up for a speedy recovery, but again, it was anything but. Word came down to schedule a third. It was such a punch in the gut. When will this end? Will I ever get better? And why is God testing me so? Dr. Dunn was confounded but staunchly committed to turn around this whole shit show. Wouldn't you know it? 3 wasn't enough. You needed a 4th surgery come October. This one better work because you won't do another. You need this hell year to be over. Finally, it seems that you're on the right path, recovering more as you should. Despite the obstacles that were thrown in your path, you always maintain God is good. It's so nice to see you moving around like you are with only a cane to lean on. I'm gifting for you, if only it was true, new legs so you can run a marathon. Dad, you've been her primary caregiver throughout this tumultuous year. When things were rough with the day-to-day troubles, you were always near. This year wasn't easy for your health either, mainly your deteriorating back. I got you a session at Chuckle Spine Solutions with a chiropractor Wizard Zach. Speaking of chiropractors, my wife could really use one. She sees Dee Dee a bit here and there, but it never really does much for any length of time. Her back must be an absolute nightmare. Seriously, imagine how bad it must be. When a professional says you're pretty messed up, she cracks you and twists you and takes your money, then tells you to drink and rest up. 2 days later, and you're back where you started. You complain that your back's out of line. I always thought my knees would go first, but it's looking more and more like your spine. And if not, it's going to be your hips. Those are always hurting you too. These aren't things a simple pill will fix, or some ginger, zinc, apple cider vinegar stew. You know her. It's all true. I was pretty sick most of last week. That bug was kicking my ass, no doubt. I remember the day you posted on Facebook that your inner mad scientist was coming out. I feared for my life the rest of the day. If I could have moved, leaving was an option. Because I knew as soon as you walked in that door, you were whipping up some god-awful concoction. And I wasn't wrong. I remember sitting there, and I heard you in the kitchen mixing. A little of this and a little of that shit. Some potion you were a-fixing. It's because of all this that I'm buying you a potion. A special one that'll help you relax. With beetle's blood, bat drool, frog tears, and henbane. Jimson weed, slug's eggs, and toad flax. Now with you already down and a few left to go, as your husband, I might as well be next. People always ask me what I want for Christmas, but I don't know. I'm not that complex. So I think that I know what I need most of all. And this might just come as a twist. I need the ability to have my wants written down so next year my family has a damn Christmas list.
So true.
But there's something else that I want more than anything, and it didn't really hit me until now. That I haven't mentioned this for the last 40 minutes, better late than never anyhow. I want that zoomy, I want that prancing, I want that big body barrel. I want that pointy-eared, blue-collared smiler, I want back our dog, Harry Harold. I've always had dogs, and losing them is tough, but Harold's death was hardest to take. Maybe because he was a rescue or he just had that it factor. 4 months later, I still feel that ache. Our family was devastated upon hearing his fate. We showered him with love until the end. So I wrote out a list. Harold's name would be first. So if I wrote out a list, Harold's name would be first. Bringing him back to us would be a godsend. Pretty sure I've made Tegan start to bawl. She was struck by Harold for weeks. I'm right. That's not to say Sam and Ari weren't sad, but Tegan was my little beeps. 3 days after Harold, we made a decision. Being dogless just didn't feel right. We picked up Alfred, another pit bull rescue, and for the most part, he's been a delight. Now, Tegan keeps pushing to get her a dachshund. She used to love Lady Bell a lot, but she wore out her welcome, peeing so many times. She's lucky I didn't have her shot.
Huh? Yeah.
Since you want a dog so very badly, I'll get you one that won't shed any hair. Here's a promised pet dachshund stuffed animal for you, made at the Mentor Mall Build-A-Bear. Tegan's boyfriend Nash was invited tonight, but as I wrote this, I still didn't know. Was he available, and would he be able to come, or would he be a no-show? So to be prepared, I decided to include him just in case he ended up being here. I didn't want that red-headed, floppy-haired racer to feel glossed over this year. Move over, Colton. There's another Scarlet Samurai. We love you so. He's grabbed our hearts, and unlike you, he became our daughter's beau. That's right. You remember I called you out last year, suggested you give Ari a look. But that went nowhere, and now you have Emily, so I guess I'm closing that book. Didn't know that, did you? I have to read you last year's poem. But back to Nash, the Red Rocket Sizzler, the Rust Bucket Inferno Man, Copper Curls. He shakes his hair and becomes Flame Reaper. That's how he gets all the girls. But now he settled down and found the one. He can relax and just be red velvet. But just in case, I'm covering that hair with an oversized motorcycle helmet. Joe and Sam probably thought I forgot them. Usually when their kids go, they're next. They were likely sitting there waiting for their names and nothing, and became perplexed. What's he waiting for? I'm sure we'll be soon. Yet more and more people went by. The tension mounting, the brain wheels spinning, no more questions of when, but why? But that's just the thing. There's no real answer. Sometimes I like to throw people off. Change things up by switching the order, so you can't just hear yours, then take off. Last year I got you a lockpick set because I planned to handcuff you so you couldn't leave early. But my luck, what would happen is you couldn't figure it all out, and that would make you a bit surly. So this year I'm getting you a bunch of little gifts, things to put a smile on your face. like a perfect cup of coffee and freshly baked cookies, a gift card for TikTok Marketplace, a tandem bike ride on the boardwalk of dreams, and a campfire with hot cocoa and s'mores. Scented candles for a massage and facial, then naked goat yoga where you can drop your drawers. It's probably at this time that I'll let Sandra watch so she can laugh and make fun of you a bit. It won't be hard while you're in downward dog when a goat on your back is told to sit. I'll have her walk over and tickle your armpits while you struggle to keep the goat still. Just wait till I tell her to milk you like a cow. Staying still will be a ridiculously hard skill. If after all that you held your composure, you passed the tests and held your pose, I'll allow Sandra to take you anywhere for dinner, and she can choose if you get back your clothes. So, Sandra, my dear, your gift for tonight is Naked Joe, who I wouldn't want to see in the dark. You know what they say when you get a naked couple and a goat? Well, that'll bring back the spark. And then there was a final person to go. They waited the whole night long, hearing the names go by one, knowing soon enough theirs will come along. But also hoping to maybe be last, because out of all, only one of you can be. It's kind of like the first, only one can start us off, but the last one was usually Dan or me. When this poem started out back in 2013, Dan was set up to always be the last. And for 7 straight years, he held that spot until he jumped to first when I put him on blast. Then it was my turn for 3 straight years. I felt like it was my spot to lose. But last year, I decided to switch things up and give it to the people I choose. Anticipation building, one name can be last. Keegan held that spot last year. This year, my other child, the one near adulthood, Ariana, or Rihanna, as it might appear. She still can't understand why we screwed up her name, spelling it so no one gets it right. But if she keeps it up, I still own her till Monday. Don't piss me off or I'll change to Dwight. You best watch your step, girl, and learn to like it. Because if you don't think I thought the spelling through, it could have been R''I, the @ symbol, N, the @ symbol, and silent Q. While you're stumped on that one, let's move along. You're about to be an adult. You've gone through school, you feel grown up, now working the rest of your life is the result. Doesn't sound so fun now that you've finally arrived with a job about to take most of your time. Well, after school's out, then you'll work full time, and if you're lucky, every year's raise might be a dime. But I'm proud of you, girl. You got your first job. Always be the best at what you do. Make them recognize that they can't work without you. They might throw another nickel at you, too. That's the life and the grind that we live. Welcome. It's all about to be yours. Still want to grow up and become an adult? Because someday you'll move out of our doors. So as you transition and life starts to change and you notice things becoming more stressful, my gift is a prayer that God guides you and takes you where you prosper and become super successful. And there you have it. The most names ever, 33 people in all. One by one, they were all checked off, and you were all in for the long haul. And the verses set a record, another new one, as if your sore butts didn't give it away. This one and one more makes 156. I'd say it's a pretty epic day.
Wow.
Thank you all for coming over to celebrate Christmas. The night ends with wrapping paper all torn. But remember, many years before we all gathered, God sent his son to be born. A Savior unexpected in his humble beginnings, not born in a palace or church with a steeple. Grew up a man like that babe he taught us. It's not where you start, but how you lead your people. May Christ's love touch you. May his life lead you. May his grace free you. And may his faith strengthen you. Merry Christmas, Skillmans, Cranbers, Kalikas, Dells, Yees, and family. Thank you very much.
Good job.